Yeah. I'm not gonna lie, daughter has gonna yagi.
Okay, we got another one for you. We touched on it a little bit, right? It's like, should you serve first or second? I think we've seen a lot on it. We've published some stuff on it. This is a good resource for diving into the numbers. I think generally the consensus is it's kind of dead even and doesn't really matter, as evidenced by this data. And this is like 10,000 game simulations. And it's slightly different if you go up to 15 games from, or sorry, 15 points from 11. It's a slight advantage to serve first, but it's still pretty even. But then, kind of going back to our earlier conversation, if you have somebody who's a proficient server, a James Ignatowicz who's hitting that ball hard consistently and not making many errors on it, it starts to become a pretty significant advantage in games to both 11 and 15. And then if you have, each team has one proficient server serves first for team one, still an advantage and still significant. So once the serve comes into play, once the serve is meaningful, then whoever serves first is going to have a 10% advantage.
Interesting. Yeah, less if you can control yourself or whoever that first person is in the mentality of things, right? And making sure that first person is also on the right side. If you're I doubt it would. I'm pretty sure it would crush any advantage if your better server was the one that's normally playing the left and you switch them, right? Because then you would be potentially have to stack to get back to the position that you want. Interesting.
Yeah, and what's the definition of proficient here?
Yeah, there are questions I have on this one. That's a good question as well.
I don't know, but listen, anybody who's bringing up p values and standard deviations and pulling out their TI 84 plus, I'm just going to believe whatever they say.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, this as the article goes, it does confirm that there's far more value placed in selecting court. If there's one better side versus worse side, we're looking at a 25% difference in a game to 11 and a 32% difference in a game to 15. And, that is actually something that I've said that I wanted to see changed. We have, in certain conditions, matches that are almost decided by the coin toss. In men's doubles, there are certain matches where it's so windy that only teams from playing against the wind are really able to win. And I would love at least a third game to have some form of switching, like a tennis tiebreaker, where you don't switch halfway through. You don't know what halfway through is. You switch at every certain interval of points to sort of mitigate that side advantage in game 3. And actually, I think this is very interesting data in favor of that argument. If there's a 32% difference in game 3 just because you happen to win the toss, that's huge.
Yeah, if that's true, that's an interesting idea, because certainly in a 2 out of 3, if the conditions are normal, then you go, okay, I'll decide what my preference is, serve or receive. But most of the times the top players are choosing sides so that you are where you want to be for that pivotal end of game 3, if you think this is a 55-45 or 50-50 match. So it's an interesting idea.
All right, I want to do one more. Did you look at the pickle to pickled ratio stuff that we put out?
I did a little bit.
Dave, did you see that?
I saw it, but I do not have great recall of it, sir.
All right, well then we'll pretend like you just didn't see it. I want to just, if you guys were, don't look, stop.
Oh, okay.
Clicking
I'm
around
looking.
over there.
Okay, I'm not looking. I didn't see it.
So in 2024, we're looking at PPA and APP matches and individual games, and we're looking at what is essentially the pickle stat, right? So how many times are you holding your opponent to 0 in a game, right? How many times are you pickling them? On the flip side of that, how many times have you been held to 0 in an individual game. Withdrawals, forfeits, things like that were removed from this data. And then we're combining singles and doubles. I do want to get to some data where we can break it out by singles and doubles, but for the purposes of this, we're looking at singles and doubles together. And I want to get a guess from each of you in 2024 who has the most pickles. So who has, in the greatest number of games, held their opponent to 0 points in that game? Dave, what do you think? Maybe go with like, what's your top three, do you think?
Annalise at the top. I'm trying to think of people that is Annalise in the top three.
Yep. No, you nailed it. Number
Okay.
one.
Yeah, because it's amazing, like the power of what, like, she'll walk out there and just, if I can be out here for 10 minutes, I'm in and go for it. Whereas I would be surprised if Ben is in the top three, just because they warm to the task a lot. And second, who else is just wrecking people? Where's Fed in this?
Ooh, that's a good one.
All right, we're gonna reveal.
Okay.
So Annalie nailed that one. Ben falls just outside of the top three
Okay.
at number 4. It is a little bit tricky because we do have to consider both singles and doubles, right?
Oh, that's true.
And Ben is the beneficiary of some of Annalise pickles. We're gonna attribute those ones to
Mhm.
Annalise.
But then you got like Rohrbacher, Tina Pisnik playing well. And I just think like,
So Fed's the second guy on here, though,
that's
if I'm looking at this right.
Yep.
That's interesting.
And then if we look at got pickled, so who's getting pickled? So,
Oh, that's a good one.
but I ran a, because I was like, well, if they've played less than like 60 games, do we really want to consider them in this? So let's see. It's a very similar list. I would say the only surprising and more, I would say, established players that are in Major League Pickleball are Hunter Johnson, Lauren Stratman, and then Jeannie Bouchard.
Oh yeah, okay. I can barely see this over there.
And then I
we
want to
got
go to
Johnny. We got Johnny Pickleball. Hey, you can go talk to him in the office.
Johnny's not here anymore.
Oh no,
No.
not in the office or not with the PPA.
Live here, yeah.
Oh wow, okay. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Seems tough because I bet you Annalie gets a decent amount. I mean, at least a third of her pickles in singles. I would guess, and I think it's just so hard to pickle a guy in singles right now because
One missed return.
Yeah, one missed return. I mean, all the guys are the guys generally are serving much bigger than the women, and then also the passes are bigger, right? So yeah, one missed return
Or one
and then one
forehand.
big serve. Just
Yeah.
it's so brutal to pickle somebody in singles these days.
So I ran, what is the number of pickles to games played, right? So what's your
Ooh.
pickle percentage?
10?
And Annalie is at 10%.
That's wild.
Yes.
What is this, 2024 or?
Yes, this is 2024.
That's.
And Megan Dazan, very surprisingly, is up there as well.
So that, yeah.
At 7, almost 8. Then we got Catherine.
My last pickle was to Megan Dazan. Travis likes to take it. Travis likes to pretend like it was him, and it was, partially him. It was mostly Megan Dazan. He loves to talk about that pickle, and I love to talk about the fact that he's like last in Challenger League. So it's great.
Here we go.
Okay, so we talked a little bit about various pickleball clubs, how they can range, and kind of the market opportunity there, which I think is quite obvious, especially to us in pickleball. So if you've ever thought about investing in pickleball facility, the Pickleball Club is looking for accredited investors. So they're developing a premier membership-based private indoor pickleball facility chain in the United States, and they opened their first one in Sarasota, Florida in May 2023, and they have 6 more in development across Florida. Florida, obviously a really hot market for pickleball, but there's an unmet demand for weatherproof indoor pickleball courts. So if they want to have many clubs nationwide and really just like ride the wave of this pickleball growth. They're doing a private offering for accredited investors. So you have to be an accredited investor. Revenue streams are memberships, lessons, events, and merchandise sales. So diversified revenue. And obviously there's high potential for return on investment. It's a replicable model. Again, they're working on having their 7th club here in Florida soon and going nationwide. And pickleball facilities are a pretty stable business. So they offer a strong financial return potential in what I think we all agree is a booming market. So to potentially become an investor in the Pickleball Club, you can go to thepickleballclub.us/invest. That's thepickleballclub.us/invest. And, have a personal stake in the growth of pickleball.
Yeah. I'm not gonna lie, rather had